Greetings, everybody. It is Friday, the 17th of September, 2021. That's right, the 21st century and the third decade of the 21st century. And progressing? I don't know. I'm going to make probably a handful of short videos today so that I can get short content done and post it, and therefore you could potentially pick and choose what content you want to watch if you're one of the 2 or 3 people that watches my stuff. This first video is what you might call a half-hearted apology to one Mr. Timothy Omundson, beloved actor, entertainer. Loved him on Psych as Lassie, loved him as Kane on Supernatural. I've even found him entertaining in his other work. I enjoy his work, not necessarily his politics. And it just goes back to something I've said in the past too, right? Like, you know, I love the work that Mike Carpenter does. I just can't engage in a conversation with him. His work is phenomenal. What he likes to talk about, I can't get into. And this all started a few days ago after the California recall election, when Mr. Omundson posted on his Instagram basically a meme, a screenshot that had that little blue flag, and it said, Timothy Omundson is marked safe from Larry Elder. And then underneath it, I think it said, thank God or thank goodness. He exposed his thoughts and opinions in a public forum, thus welcoming, reciprocating, returning opinions, whether those were people who agree or disagree. Now, let's be fair. I made a statement, and I'm going to read it right here. All right? I posted on his Instagram, at Daniel P. Blackwell, I enjoy your work, sir. Just not your politics. To each their own, and that's what makes our country great. So, that's it. I don't live in California, therefore I don't have a stake in California politics. Whether Gavin Newsom stayed in office or whether he was replaced by anybody, to include Larry Elder. On a completely separate note, what I really dislike is the amount of vitriol and attacks that have been against Larry Elder, up to and including, and this is one of my personal favorites, you can Google this, you can YouTube this, you can find this, because whether it's the left, the Democrats, or whatever labels you want to associate in that direction, he's been called the black face of white supremacy. That's it. The black face of white supremacy. He may have ran on a Republican ticket because, unfortunately, we live in a time where we only have a two-party system. You're going to get nowhere if you come out with a third party. There's still the Green Party, and there's still some other parties out there, but tragically and honestly, they go nowhere. So he may have ran on a Republican ticket when, in all actuality, he's more of a libertarian than he is a Republican, because he's got some liberal views and he's got some conservative views. But Mr. Omundson, I apologize if this caused any weirdness, but in all fairness, you did post an opinion in a public forum, Instagram. It was never my intent for the following actions. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and go over those following actions. So, first things first, at nu.york responded, whoa, someone respectable and can understand we can have different political beliefs. Respect. That's it. That's all they posted. Simple, elegant, and to the point. That was responded to, however, by at Lance Soapdish, who responds to me directly, well, there is a difference between politics and being morally bankrupt. Unfortunately, Republicans have become morally bankrupt. If you have to fly conspiracy theories and deny science to support your politics, you have a serious problem. Okay, I'll address that in a little bit. Then at Lolo Auntie, Lolo Auntie, just responded to me directly, well said. And then at Cherry Mincemoyer, she, I apologize, responds with an emoticon, rolling eyes at Lance Soapdish. And then at Jake underscore Brown 3030 responds to Lance Soapdish, and here's the guy that has to try to start an argument. Yeah, that's pretty fair. I was just acknowledging we have differences in opinions, but Lance Soapdish, no disrespect to you, you're the one that did kind of stoke the flames of an argument here. I'm just stating the obvious. So then Lance Soapdish responds to at Cherry Sherry Mincemoyer, who you rolling your eyes at? The January 6th insurrectionists, the Charlottesville Unite the Right rally, the QAnon crowd, and then some emoticons, emojis, whatever they're called. I'm sorry if I'm a little old and out of date here. And then he or she, Lance Soapdish, goes on to at Jake underscore Brown 3030. It's just fact. Was the Charlottesville rally a leftist rally? Was the January 6th insurrection a leftist event? Is QAnon a lefty thing? And then continues on here. Are white supremacy groups lefty? No, the greatest domestic threats are right-wing extremists. The FBI and DHS has repeatedly reported this. And then, once again, Lance Soapdish has to continue on where they're responding to at Jake underscore Brown 3030. It's just fact. Was the Charlottesville rally a leftist rally? Was the January 6th insurrection a leftist event? Is QAnon a lefty thing? Are white supremacy groups lefty? No. The greatest domestic threats are right-wing extremists. All right, so it looks like this just got repeated. That's all. All right. And then the underscore milnificent underscore 1E, number 1NE. I apologize if I don't get these correctly. Responding to at Lance Soapdish. LOL, did you really try to deny that the KKK isn't a leftist organization and that there weren't leftist extremists in the January 6th insurrection? You mentioned QAnon but leave out Antifa and BLM. All right, and then this goes on. Lance Soapdish responding to at the underscore milnificent underscore 1NE. The KKK isn't a leftist organization. How'd you come up with that one? Emojis. And please name the Antifa and BLM members that were arrested for the January 6th insurrection. Okay. Well, here's how I'd like to respond to that. First and foremost, Mr. Olmanson, as I stated, I enjoy your work, just not your politics. So I'm curious, if for some strange reason, if the stars align and you do get this, or you do find out about my response, all I'd like to know is for you or anybody else who shares that opinion, what dangers were you in fear of from Larry Elder? What physical dangers did Larry Elder present to you, other than maybe a difference in socio-political opinion? I know I won't get a response to that, but it'd be fun if we did. And it's not a challenge. It's just I'm just curious, sir. That's all. Or for anybody else that shares your opinion, what dangers did Larry Elder present besides a different vision, a different way of doing things? Okay. If the results are positive, then, why does it matter if you go this way or that way? Secondly, to Lance Soapdish, clearly you are very devout in your beliefs, whether they are lefty beliefs, lefty extremist beliefs, extreme liberal beliefs, whatever those beliefs are. You clearly seem very devout in those beliefs. What I think is very difficult is I don't know if you're open to if you yourself as an individual are at a point in your life where you're open to communicating with others who have different opinions, but having good open dialogue, where I get the impression right now you're in your own echo chamber with others who share your beliefs, and you're just reinforcing those beliefs and reinforcing confirmation bias. And then the follow-on question to that would be, where are you willing to go with this? All right. And I'll challenge you with an accurate history lesson. You can Google this, you can look this up, you can go to the library, encyclopedias, you name it. All right. The KKK was 100% founded, started, organized, and manned all right, not womaned, manned by the Democratic Party after the conclusion of the Civil War. It was their militia group that helped enforce the ideologies of the Confederate Democratic South. Okay, it enforced brutal and harsh segregationalist ideologies. It was bad enough that in order to reconcile from the Civil War, we allowed the South to maintain its racially divisive policies up to and including segregation known as Jim Crow and so on and so forth. All right, that's 100% true. And back in the day, the KKK was in fact membered by gentlemen who would have been considered distinguished, educated, wealthy, middle class, you name it. So, Lance Soapdish, to your point, you may have a case for an argument when you discuss that the modern day KKK is basically trailer trash. Okay, and they may utilize the church and whatnot, or religion, to try to back some of their religiously divisive motivations, which I find hilarious, because whether it's Judaism, Christianity, or Islam, it all comes from the Middle East. Not a single place where you're going to find white people. So it's all Middle Eastern in origin, but I digress. Yeah, you're right. Modern day KKK may have separated from the Democratic Party of yore because of current Democratic Party tactics, so to speak. As far as Charlottesville, you know, here's what I've learned, Lance Soapdish. I can't rely on or trust the media. Whether it's a conservative media or whether it's a liberal media, I can't trust either one of them, because they're going to report their distorted view of what happened. I hate to say it, but places like the BBC and Al Jazeera, and maybe a couple others, will just report the facts. Otherwise, everybody else is going to report a distorted view. Therefore, I no longer trust the media. If you lean towards the overwhelming majority of liberal media outlets, they're going to support your confirmation bias, which will do nothing more than add to the divisiveness. Okay? Which goes back to my comment, you know, Mr. Olmanson, I love your work. I will continue to enjoy your work and how you present yourself as an actor. I just don't like your politics. But quite frankly, we're talking about California, which doesn't affect me. I'm here in North Carolina. But going back to Charlottesville, Lance Soapdish, I wasn't there. I do know that there has been facts. Let's just say I'm retired military, so I still have access to people who can get access to information. I'll just leave it at that. I do know that specifically at a lot of these events, agitators are brought in. Who they work for, what political party they work for, I don't know. Do you want me to deny that there's idiots that are on the right of center that maybe vote Republican? No. No, there's plenty of idiots. Do I personally think more idiots vote for the left? Yes. That's my personal opinion. Do I think idiots can be changed and educated? Yes. Do I think some idiots, whether right or left, are just too far gone? Yes, absolutely. Antifa and BLM. Well, Antifa is modern-day KKK for the Democratic Party, and I just base it on their actions alone. BLM, very similar. It's just a black version, in my opinion, of the KKK for the Democratic Party. It may have had an originally pure cause, just like Antifa may have had a pure cause, but I believe they've been hijacked. And secondly, Antifa, which is supposed to be anti-fascist, is nothing but fascist. They're like the brown shirts of Nazi Germany. You know, conform or else. And BLM, we don't have to agree on this. We don't have to agree at all. But in order to elevate somebody, Black Lives Matter. Therefore, the precedence is being placed on black lives. You have to devalue somebody else. Are you devaluing whites? Are you devaluing browns, reds, yellows? I don't know. But it's Newton's third law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Therefore, if you're going to elevate black skin color, through the precedence of Black Lives Matter, under the assumption that in the 21st century, to include the second and third decade of the 21st century, that we're not at a point where there's value on any life, least of all black lives, and therefore we have to elevate black lives. You have to take that value from somewhere else. So as a precedence, I don't enjoy putting precedence on other colors of life. I like everybody, and I also reserve the right to dislike everybody. So Lance Soap Dish, what I would say to you is, if for some reason you ever get a chance to watch this video, I encourage you to maybe try to open up your mind to talking to other people. You may interact with people on a daily basis you don't even know you disagree with politically. But why do you disagree? You'd be surprised how many people, from a political perspective, may be single issue motivated only. There's one issue that only one party supports, and for that reason alone, they're willing to get drunk on the Kool-Aid. That might apply to you as well. I think it started to apply to me, and I had to pull back. What I will say to you is this, just a 30-second history. I despise the Democratic Party based on history alone, going back to the Civil War. I feel the party should have been disbanded. The ideology should have been disbanded, but that would have required us to purge anybody who thought and felt like that. I don't believe in the party switching. That is blamed on the Dixiecrats back in the 60s who disagreed with Lyndon Johnson. Only one. You can look this up. You can fact find it. Only one. Strom Thurmond flipped from Democrat to Republican. All that really happened is the Democrats changed strategy. But as I said, I'm not a fan of the Democratic Party going all the way back to the Civil War. Since we couldn't purge those people, which would have required expulsion or death, we kept them to try to maintain the United States. You're going to have division no matter what. For me, the Democratic Party, and because of its history, it's kind of like, you know, if we'd allowed the Nazi Party to sustain because so many people thought and felt like the Nazis, so we couldn't just purge Germany of those people and left like 5% of the population. So therefore we left the Nazi Party. No, we completely eradicated the Nazi Party. Well, I can't say that because, believe it or not, the Nazi Party, to some like tiny little infinitesimal degree, still exists in Germany, but I digress. My point being is, whether there's something I do agree with, out of, like, let's say a list of 50 policies and principles, maybe there's one or two on the left I can agree with, it's not enough to get me to vote for the other 49 or 48 policies and principles I disagree with. When it comes to Republicans, the fact that they got in bed with the 700 Club in the church and everything is all churchy, and in order to maintain that relationship, they've got to come down hard on certain issues that the Bible and the church disagrees with. I'm not a card-carrying Republican, but until there's a third viable option on the table, I look at it in terms of this. Between the Democrats and the Republicans, you got two dogs. They're both going to crap in your yard. Who's going to leave a smaller mess? I personally think the Democrats leave a bigger mess, and I think the Republicans don't. And the last thing I'll challenge you with is this. Anybody watching this, to include Lance Soap Dish. Currently, at present, there's only one party that consistently uses racism, whether as a direct word or in any way, shape, or form, as a tactic. And that is the Democratic Party. And that has been their mantra since before the Civil War. Racism has always been a part of the Democratic political strategy. All right? You don't have to agree with me, but it is a fact. And like Ben Shapiro said, facts don't care about your feelings. The Democratic Party specifically marketed in a racism campaign or an anti-racism campaign. They're the only ones that constantly use racism, whether overtly out loud, racism, and they say the word, or they use some other overt form of racism to prey upon insecurities and prey upon fears as political marketing strategies. For crying out loud, they called Larry Elder, a black man from South Central Los Angeles, a graduate of Crenshaw High School, the black face of white supremacy. I'll let you stir on that one. and Lance at Lance Soap Dish, by all means, respond. I don't have to. You can respond any way you want, video, voice, written, and you can get all charged up and you can be all kinds of emotional. I don't care, but respond, because that's the goal of this, is to get us talking. Okay, I'm not trying to change your mind. All I'm suggesting is that maybe you open yourself up to listening to other people. I think people can still be good and disagree on certain issues. That's all I'm attempting to say. And Mr. Olmanson, I'm not entirely sorry, because you did post an opinion in a public forum. The only thing I'm apologetic for is the potential poop storm it started on your feed. That was not my intent whatsoever. I did not intend for this poop storm, if you will, to explode on your feed. So for that, I'm sorry. That's all I got.